Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back. In our last reflection, we explored the wisdom hidden within life's hardships. Today, we're going to turn our hearts towards something even more subtle, an obstacle on the spiritual path that can be, well, a quiet poison, the problem of arrogance.
I seek refuge in Allah from the accursed shaitan. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Okay, with our hearts and intentions set, let's begin this journey into the heart of Juz៍ 14 together. You know, this line right here, it's so much more than just poetry. It's really a spiritual diagnosis. See, the Quran teaches us something profound, that civilizations and even our own hearts don't usually fall because the truth is hidden from them. They fall because humility has been lost. So let's explore this. We're looking at a very specific kind of pride here. It's that arrogance that comes face to face with the truth, knows deep down that it is the truth, but still, it refuses to bow. This is the core challenge the Quran is showing us. And just to be clear, this isn't about feeling good after you've accomplished something. No, this is that inner state of the ego, the nafs, that just resists surrender. It's that little whisper inside that says, I'm the exception. The rules, they don't really apply to me. To really get this, the Quran takes us all the way back to a foundational moment in our spiritual story. Picture this scene. There's a divine command, a brand new creation being honored, and a test of obedience for every single being present. And then you hear these 4 words. I am better than him. Wow. It's the root of the whole problem right there. Think about it. Iblis didn't say, I don't believe. He knew. Of course he knew. But his knowledge was totally corrupted by this feeling of superiority. That statement is the engine of arrogance. It turns knowledge into pure defiance. So the real question is, how does this one single act of ego from the very beginning just echo throughout all of history? The Quran shows us it's not a one-time thing. It's a pattern, a spiritual sickness that just keeps repeating itself, community after community. You see it again and again. They look at their power, their wealth, their huge buildings, and they felt safe, untouchable. So when messengers came with warnings, they just laughed. They ridiculed them, truly believing they were above any kind of consequence. They were just blinded by their own success. And of course, this leads to an unavoidable, sobering truth. Arrogance, it always collapses. It creates this illusion that you're permanent, but the divine law doesn't change for anyone. History, as the Quran reminds us, is literally a graveyard of empires that thought they were invincible. But after this really stern warning, the Quran doesn't just leave us in a state of fear. It does something beautiful. It opens a door. The whole tone shifts from the consequences of pride to the cure for it. And that cure is all about learning how to truly see. And what's so incredible here is how Allah redirects our gaze. We go from looking at the ruins of arrogance to looking at the miracles of our everyday life. He points to the rain, the livestock, the bees, these simple yet absolutely profound wonders that are all around us. They aren't just random things happening. They are signs for us to see. This is the inner meaning, the batin. Every single drop of rain, every sip of milk, every taste of honey, it's all whispering the same profound spiritual truth. You didn't create this. You don't sustain this. You are completely and utterly dependent on a mercy that is so far beyond you. And that realization, that's the seed of humility right there. Which brings us right to the heart of the solution, shukr, or gratitude. But we're not just talking about a word we say. We're talking about a state of being, a lens through which we see the entire world and ourselves. See, real gratitude is this inner understanding that your intelligence, your health, your wealth, even your very next breath isn't truly yours. It's a loan. It's an entrustment from the source of all giving. And once you recognize that, the entire foundation of arrogance just crumbles. And here it is, plain and simple, the internal monologue of these two states. The arrogant heart claims ownership. I did this. But the grateful heart recognizes the divine permission behind everything. Allah allowed this. One path leads to isolation and collapse. The other, it leads to connection and being lifted up. This slide just lays it out so perfectly. It shows the journey the Quran guides us on. It's this masterful process of leading the heart from one state to the next. First, it shows us the ultimate form of pride, Then it warns us of the consequences. Then it invites us to reflect on just how dependent we are. And finally, it calls us to the liberating state of gratitude.
So let's bring all of this home. How does this ancient wisdom speak to our lives, right here, right now? I mean, how do we hold on to this truth in a world that, let's be honest, often teaches us the exact opposite?
We're surrounded, aren't we? Surrounded by a culture that celebrates the self-made person. We're told to take all the credit, project this image of unwavering confidence, rely only on ourselves. And look, discipline is so important, but this mindset can so quietly, so subtly feed our ego. And what's the result of all that pressure? So much anxiety, right? The Quran offers this profound relief, like a deep spiritual exhale. The burden of pretending you're in control of everything, it's just exhausting. Humility is liberation. It is the peace that comes from finally surrendering that burden to the one who actually sustains everything.
So what can we do? How can we actually bring this into our lives? Let's make it practical. Maybe tonight we can just take one tiny step. Something from this slide maybe. Perhaps just a quiet prostration, a sujood of pure thanks. Or consciously noticing a small blessing we take for granted. The comfort of our bed, the taste of water. Or even just the simple act of admitting a fault, which is such a powerful way to dissolve the ego.
In the end, this is the question that Juz៍ 14 leaves us with. It's a mirror for our own soul. When something good happens in your life, what's the first reaction? Does your heart puff up with self-importance, or does it bow down in quiet, grateful recognition of the giver? I pray for myself, and for all of you, that we're granted the clarity to see our blessings not as a measure of our own worth, but as a measure of His infinite mercy. May our successes always, always lead us to our prayer mats. Amen. This reflection was compiled with gratitude by Mir Ali Shah, a seeker sharing through the Living the Wisdom of the Quran podcast. And as we use this technology to share these reminders, we humbly ask for your forgiveness and for Allah's acceptance, especially for any mispronunciations or errors that might have come through. Thank you for sharing this space with us.